And remember, when He made you successors after the Aad, again over here we see that these people are reminded of the blessings of Allah, the favors of Allah. Because when a person remembers the favors of Allah, then what happens? His heart inclines towards Allah. He begins to appreciate His blessings, gratitude comes, and gratitude is the gate, it is the door to obedience. It is the door to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He settled you in the land, and you take for yourselves palaces from its plains, and carve from the mountains homes. Again, فَاذْكُرُوا آلَاءَ اللَّهِ. Then remember the favors of Allah, and do not commit abuse on the earth, spreading corruption. The Prophet ﷺ also advised us, تَفَكَّرُوا فِي آلَاءِ اللَّهِ. Reflect on the blessings, the favors of Allah. That is what will draw you closer to Allah. وَلَا تَفَكَّرُوا فِي اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And do not be busy reflecting on the being of Allah, the Exalted. Meaning, don't think about, okay, what kind of a hand does Allah have? How big is Allah? What is the face of Allah like? Don't think about these things. Why? Because you can never know these answers. Can we? The more we reflect, the more questions we will have. So the Prophet ﷺ advised us that we should reflect on the gifts that Allah has given us. Because that is how we get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The eminent ones among His people who were arrogant, they said to those who were oppressed, to those who believed amongst them, do you actually know that Salih is sent from his Lord? They said, indeed we, in that which he was sent with, are believers. So the people, the leaders, the arrogant ones, the people with power and influence, they questioned the believers. They said, do you really think Salih is speaking the truth? Do you really believe in him? They said, yes, we do. Whatever that he was sent with, we believe in that. Those who are arrogant said, indeed we, in that which you have believed, are disbelievers. So they hamstrung, they killed the she-camel, and were insolent toward the command of their Lord. And they said, O Salih, bring us what you promise us, if you should be of the messengers. So the earthquake seized them, and they became, within their homes, corpses, fallen prone. Those who were arrogant, what happened to them? They fell on their faces, lifeless. And He turned away from them, and He said, O my people, I had certainly conveyed to you the message of my Lord, and I had advised you, but you do not like advisors. You do not like people to advise you. Does this happen with us sometimes? That if somebody gives us feedback, if they advise us, that perhaps we should do things differently, perhaps we should think about how we are doing things, we get offended. Sometimes the advice comes from a child. Sometimes it comes from someone who is younger than us. Sometimes it comes from a person whom we don't really get along with. What we need to do is get past the person and think about what they are telling us. Because if we refuse to accept it, then we're only going to harm ourselves. The people who were destroyed, they were those who did not like الناصحين. وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ. And we had sent Lut when he said to his people, do you commit such immorality as no one has preceded you with from among the worlds? إِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ شَهْوَةً مِّن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ. Indeed, you approach men with desire instead of women. Rather, you are a transgressing people. Why? Because this action is haram. And it is not just unlawful, it's also very dangerous.